The SciComm Collective acknowledges the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation as the traditional custodians of the lands we study, write and record on, and that their sovereignty was never ceded. Hello and welcome to the SciComm Collective.
Different useful knowledge in different areas.
The joy is sharing it.
Making science accessible.
The ignored final step of the scientific method.
Every different perspective.
Science is culture.
The SciComm Collective brings science and science communication to you.
Hi everyone and welcome back to our Winter Short series. I'm Claire and today I'll be interviewing Emma about the podcast episode that she created as part of the science presentation unit here at UWA. Emma, do you want to tell us a little bit about this episode we're about to listen to?
Yeah, hi. This is so weird being on this side of the microphone. Gosh, it was a little while ago now that I did this unit. It was one of the first ones I did as my Master of Science Communication. And what I really loved was the opportunity to explore a topic of your choice.
Yeah.
And this particular episode is about misophonia, which lots of people don't know exists. It's one of those hidden disabilities, although it's not in the DSM-5, which is where the Manual of Disabilities. So maybe people think of it, it's not a disability, just as a quirk.
Yeah.
But it is a really real thing that does affect people quite a lot. And it's this idea that there are certain sounds that absolutely drive you up the wall to the extent that you can't be in a place where that's happening. And that's where it goes from something that's annoying to something that affects your life.
Yeah.
And I felt like with this episode, what I would do is imagine that this was like a podcast series which was easily digestible for people to learn about different hidden disabilities or things that impacted lives in that way.
Yeah.
So I remember like just kind of going, okay, what would that be like? And how would I present that? I don't even remember what I called it, but it was pretty fun to do. I interviewed some co-workers and some friends, and I also looked up some researchers about misophonia. It was a really interesting thing for me to go through it as well. Yeah.
Shall we listen to the episode?
Sure, yeah.
Give people a chance to hear about it all.
Yeah, like one of the things about not listening to it is it was one of the first pieces that I ever recorded of my own voice. So once you're done with an assessment, you're like, yes, it's done, you know. But I'm a little bit nervous about listening back to that. Then again, I think I'm a bit better now that I've done a few of the...
It's been a few years. You've done a few more podcasts.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Okay.
Please be aware, this episode contains sounds that may be distressing to some listeners. You're listening to Take 3 for ND, the bite-sized podcast dedicated to all things neurodiversity. I'm your autistic ADHD host Emma, and today we're talking about misophonia, the condition of reduced tolerance to certain sounds.
If I ever hear something that I can't deal with, I have to remove myself because it makes me physically uncomfortable, and it also makes me either angry or I just like shut off.
This is Chanel, who suffers from misophonia.
At first, I didn't quite understand why it was such a triggering thing. Like, it was quite confusing to come across. I can't do the sounds of like ice or pencils, like blunt pencils on paper.
Gives you the shivers.
Yeah.
Gives me the
all
shivers.
of it just...
Research estimates that nearly 1 in 5 people may struggle with certain sounds, from brushing teeth to kids playing with a Rubik's Cube. Misophonia triggers are different for everyone, though they do tend to elicit a high level of emotional response.
Most people, 85% of people, said they didn't like the sound of loud chewing.
Meet Dr. Jane Gregory, a highly specialised clinical psychologist who researches misophonia at the University of Oxford.
It's quite normal for people in the general population also to feel like other people should just behave themselves and make fewer of these noises. But everything else in misophonia is much more of a unique experience. It's feeling like there's something wrong with you. It's feeling like you will be overwhelmed or something will happen if you can't get away from these sounds.
And it's not just an emotional reaction.
It's not just about the emotional reaction.
When there are some sounds that stop you doing what you want to do,
I have to cut it off. I can't fully feel like I'm going to throw up when I hear it.
When you feel completely overwhelmed, even avoid being in a situation where you could hear those sounds.
My daughter eating her dinner brings anger, and I want to punch her.
If anything from today resonates,
I don't think people quite understand what it is or why people can get such harsh reactions.
You're not alone.
Taking the fixation off of the noise and onto myself can help. It depends on how severely I'm triggered by the noise.
There's more information available at So Quiet, a charity specifically for sufferers of misophonia who also help to support research around the world. Check them out. Thanks to our contributors and interviewees, Chanel, Juanita, Mia, Shani, Dr. Gregory, and to So Quiet for today's show. Take care and catch you next time on Take 3 for ND.
Okay. How do you feel listening back to it?
The embarrassment is real. I liked that. It's interesting. My memory of it was that it was about hidden disability, but it was really focused on ND. And that reminds me of how back then I was really only about a year into my own late diagnosis.
Yeah.
And so it was about owning that too. And maybe for the first time being able to say, hey, I can speak about this because I can authentically speak about this. I am an own voice kind of person. And that was pretty cool. I remember some of those interviews and, how strongly people do feel. I should probably note that the person who said that she wanted to punch her daughter would absolutely never do that. But I think it was illustrative of how strongly it can make you feel. Yeah. And I wanted to make sure that I put in there that there are resources to help people who are really suffering emotionally from something that makes them feel something that they never would want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. The interesting thing about that episode is that the interview with Dr. Gregory was actually spliced from a YouTube video. So I emailed their charity and I emailed them and I said, hey, I'm creating this podcast for an assignment and can I please use this as sound bites? And they said yes. And then I did eventually also send them the episode that I made.
Oh, lovely.
But I wasn't, they're in the UK or Dr. Gregory's in the UK, so I wasn't able to organise an interview with them at the time. And I think I wouldn't really have known the right things to say, and it maybe would have been the same things that she'd said in that interview anyway, so it seemed like a bit of a double up to try to do that. But the interviews with the people, I had to go through and sift through so much to figure out what I wanted to include, and it's helped me to realise that you do not want to interview a lot of people for something when you've got only 3 minutes to talk about it.
Yeah, people like to talk.
Yeah, I love to talk.
Exactly.
But, just as this episode is a short episode, that was my first foray into recording for podcasting and figuring out the questions to ask, how to explore a topic, and then what you pull out of it to create a narrative.
Yeah. I find it really interesting because I don't think we'd met when you did this. I think we met after you'd done it. But when you start the podcast talking about your own neurodivergency, I can see the roots of the person you are now when we talk about positionality, because obviously we're both now PhD candidates and we both talk a lot about positionality and identity and putting ourselves back into the work. And it's so interesting to see the roots of that in this episode before we've even met.
Yeah, that's really fun. I was still working in early childhood at the time. Since 6 months later, I was no longer doing that. I was starting the job that I'm still doing at the moment, a communications officer. I moved into that as I became more into doing science communication, because I realized what I wanted was more of that experience doing the things that I was learning about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think you're right that I had never heard of positionality, and yet I was using it.
Yeah.
Which is really kind of a fun thing to reflect on, actually, to look back. There's a wonderful book by Laura Rendon called Sensipensate, Sensing and Thinking Pedagogy. And she talks about how she's brought a particular type of reflexive, creative mindfulness love into the classroom.
Yeah.
And in the appendix, it's about how she realized that it was a holistic question, that it was a question that she had been living, that she had been exploring for a really long time, and that had culminated in that book.
Yeah.
And when I first read that, it was like, whoa, like, what is the question I am living?
Yeah.
And that then led to me kind of going, yeah, like the question I'm exploring and keep coming back to is how inclusion, neurodiversity, different abilities, different ways of seeing and being and doing in the world are part of science and science communication.
Yeah. Yeah, they really are.
Yeah. And I guess that's, like part of what's come to where I am now with my PhD. But little bits of it have cropped up here and there.
Yeah.
Which is really nice to see.
Yeah, it's almost like it's always been there with you. And now you're just putting the pieces together into now your thesis to like show how it all comes together and how we are in our own research and how we are involved in science.
Yeah.
These things are about people, ultimately.
Absolutely. Science is social. But yeah, like, because I did marine biology first, and then I did education. And science communication I came into because I was like, there seemed to be this gap. And now I realize that the seem to be is the important part, because it's actually about how we perceive things.
Yeah.
And how we can bridge that with relationships.
Yeah.
And maybe it did need to be several years and lots of experiences to get to this point, and that's okay.
Yeah. We're all on a journey.
I'm definitely on a journey with editing.
Look, I think you've gotten much better since then, having listened to podcasts you've produced much more recently.
I listened to that and I'm like, there's extra clicks in there, and the background music underneath people talking wasn't necessary, or at least it really needed to be lower. But actually, I do like the soundbite aspect of it.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite good, because it's literally a podcast about audio, so you need to include the audio in it.
Yeah.
So I remember trying to sift through finding what those were, or I now know that that's called Foley. I didn't know that that's what it was called back then.
Yeah.
Trying to learn all the things to do that. It was like gigabytes worth of stuff on my computer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is kind of cool to look back on that.
Yeah. And I think you told a really nice story within the 4 minutes that you had, and the however many hours of audio you had to sift through. I think it comes together really nicely.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to look back at that. Did you do this unit?
No, I never did. Because of the way I ended up doing my master's, I didn't have time to do some of the units. So I switched them out with units I did in my undergrad here at UWA. And as part of your honours year in psychology, you have to do a presentations unit, which is mostly just about like PowerPoints and like presenting your research. But Heather was like, that's fine. You can accept that, and we will have that as that unit instead of this one, because I just didn't have time.
Yeah.
Because I switched from coursework into dissertation halfway through my degree. So I took a lot of odd units at the start, and then at the end figured out what it was I actually wanted.
And that was Dr. Heather Bray.
Dr. Heather Bray. Yeah. Unit coordinator, head of science communication here at UWA, guru for most of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Although Heather Bray didn't teach the presentations unit when I took it, it was actually Rocky Magellan,
our advisor.
Of course, is featured in our episode of The Art of Podcasting.
Yes.
From
season 1.
Yeah, well, Summer Shorts.
Oh.
The first season of Summer Shorts.
Interesting. I didn't know it was in Summer Shorts.
Yeah, yeah. So learning from the best is pretty good.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to say about this episode? I
think it illustrates you can just give it a go.
Yeah.
maybe that's what this whole discussion has shown, that it reminds me actually of what Rezka said in the Art of Podcasting episode as well, that she'll listen back to some of the stuff she did right at the start and it's just so cringy, but also it's okay because we're all on a journey.
Yeah.
So people that want to do a podcast, just have a go because you're doing it for you.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's it as well, is that I really love that we could choose the topic. It actually gave me a bit of a crisis because I was like, what topic to choose? And then being able to go, what do I think is the most interesting for me, and to share that was so cool. And I think that's what a lot of podcasting is about.
Yeah.
And so if any listeners are interested in doing podcasting, just grab your phone, because that's how I recorded a lot, and have a go. I used Audacity, which is a free software. You can use lots of other free software. And it doesn't matter how many listens you have because it's something that you've made.
Yeah.
And you never know. In a couple of years' time, you might find yourself being interviewed about it. But yeah.
On your own podcast.
So yeah, thanks for asking me about it. And I'm glad you liked it.
I did. I really enjoyed it.
It was fun.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on producing something so good during a university unit. I'm not sure all of my assignments were ever that good. And it's just really nice to see how you've grown since then in podcasting and also in science communication.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's still an ongoing journey and I love it.
Yeah.
I know that, journey is a very cheesy word, but I like it.
Thank you for listening to our winter shorts. Thank you for Emma for letting us listen to her podcast and letting me talk to her about it.
No, it was lovely to be on the other side.
I hope our listeners will stick around for the rest of the season and hopefully come back when we produce season 3, coming in semester 2 of 2026.
See you then.
Thanks for listening. Find us online at thescicommcollective.com. That's com with 2 M's. Questions or comments about today's episode? Get in touch on Instagram at the SciComm Collective.